She's a witch! She's a witch! Burn her! Ha!
Hey, welcome to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben, and this is my review for Netflix's original series, Luna Nera. So, Luna Nera is set in the 17th century Italy. A teenager learns about her destiny among a family of witches, just as her boyfriend's father hunts her down for witchcraft. This was one that I didn't actually have on my radar. It's just a bunch of Netflix stuff dropping today, and I thought I'd give it a go. It looked witchy. There's a lot of series and films coming out at the moment. Well, in the last couple of years, it's a witcher cornucopia. This series is obviously witchy. From the synopsis, you get it. It's set in the 17th century, and there's kind of three main groups of people. There is the witches, and there's the people that don't believe in witches. They're kind of like the no-magers. They want to deal everything with science, and they don't believe in the magics. And then there's obviously the Christians of the time who believe that witches are bad, and all women that even remotely do anything with potions or medicine must be witches, and they must be burnt at the stake. And obviously we've had quite a few reminiscent or interesting ideas in the past with witches like that, the Crucible, and of late we've had certain period witchy dramas, and I wasn't sure whether this one was going to do anything new. But I can say it kind of has. It does pull on a lot of strings from other various witchy programs, but I really liked what they did. So it's 6 episodes. They're about 45 to 50 minutes long. The best thing I can say about this series is the way they build the story up. So by the time you reach the end of the 6th episode, you reach a culmination in the story, and it's worth the wait. A lot of the series like this I've watched recently on Netflix, they're good, but they don't leave you feeling satisfied at the end, because it's kind of an anticlimax, because they're going to do another series, so they've left you on a cliffhanger, but it also feels you leaving like, wow, I don't want to watch this because, do I have to wait another year just to find out that bit? I can say there is a completion story, but they also leave it open for another. So that is one reason to watch it alone. And then there are others.
Il nostro tempo è vicino.
The way the characters are depicted with the magics, when they do magic, looks very cool. The costume and setting design of the time is very well done, especially that kind of the face marks of the villains, the guys that want to hunt the witches. That's very cool. But I like following the story of the protagonist as you get to go along this kind of adventure as she discovers who she is. But it's also very interesting that I couldn't figure out where the story was going. There are many plot points where I thought, I know exactly what's going to happen next. And by the time you reach the end, I had no clue. I was like, oh, this went nowhere. There are certain plot points and love stories and triangles and drama and themes like that you expect to have in a series like this, and it is in there. But I think because of the story is slightly different and offbeat, I don't know, maybe that's because it's an Italian series and I'm not used to the culture of things maybe that they do in this way. It brought a freshness to a story that's been done to death. You know, the witch stuff, there's a lot of that, from Sabrina to the, various modern day tellings from the magicians, that kind of stuff. But I really like what they've done this. So this is more period, and you see witchcraft, I guess, in a way that isn't normal. Like you see magics and stuff, but there isn't a lot of chanting going on. There's some, but there's more to do with certain things, like each witch maybe has a power, and they've got to discover how to use that. I don't want to give any spoilers, but that's kind of the general gist of what they can do. And then you have the other side, where there's the devout believers that anything witchy is evil and must come from the devil, and you can't be a Christian, so therefore you must die. But you have interesting balances where there's kind of like a yin and yang. In the good there's some bad, and in the bad there's some good, and so there's these storylines that intertwine with each other. There's also like a Romeo and Juliet storyline in this kind of drama witchy series, and I think it works quite well. I have to say, it started off with like a big bang. It really got you buzzing. It went fast, and you were gripped, and I really liked the protagonist immediately. I felt for the people that we were expected to feel for. And then it does drags. Like episode 2 and 3, it feels like it was a bit of padding. And for such a short series as the 6 episodes, I felt like, well, that's a strange way to go. I understand about developing character arcs, but I felt like there was a bit much padding in certain areas, and that's just me. I do think episodes 3, 4, 5, and 6 continued with the arc and it got going again. And maybe that's just like they wanted to do 2 and 3, just kind of, just space it out a bit. But I feel like, oh, well, maybe they could have put something else in there with the main arc, because the main arc is actually very interesting. It reminded me a little bit, I don't know if you've seen the anime Full Metal Alchemist, there's threads of that. Very interesting threads to pull from. I mean, storylines where obviously there's nothing really new under the sun. Nobody can really do anything absolutely new. But what they did with what they had, I think, is done very well. The sound effects were very good and add to the atmosphere and tone with the cinematography, with the color palettes that really places you in the mood. The sets are fantastic. They really make you feel like it's a witches, a place where witches would gather. It's very earthy tones and, things you'd expect to see in the background, that kind of thing. And then when you go into the church kind of domains and the little towns, it's all done very well. Like I said, with the costumes. I like the sound edit. Like I said, I think it does its job well. It's the score that I have a little bit of an issue with, because it's very modern singing. It's very good. It's very ethereal, I guess you could say, but it's definitely modern, and it's a weird juxtaposition to have this kind of period 17th century story about witches being burnt at the stake, and them trying to survive, and actual magics, and many different sides and themes, and just lots going on. But to have that music from to be put in that time period just felt a bit off. I liked the music, and I think sometimes it went, but it just felt weird to have those two worlds kind of clash. I understood the creativeness is different and everybody likes something different, but that was a weird thing for me to see having in that. I would have done something else, maybe just gone for the sound effects and tones. My wife said maybe it was on budget, but the songs that they had were fairly expensive. I imagine that would have been fairly expensive, rather than maybe getting a composer to compose some original pieces. That is my only real gripe, because the story in itself is very interesting, very bingeable, quick watch, 6 episodes, and it left me wanting more. So this is great story, a great, really well acted, love the protagonist, reminded me, the main protagonist, the female, reminded me of Scarlett Johansson in facial tones and features. I don't know why, like from 10 years ago when she first started doing, or maybe longer, when she first started doing the Avengers. She has that sort of facial features. I don't know why I feel like I needed to mention that, but that's where I went. Okay. I really enjoyed this. I'm going to give it an A-. I think it's solid. I'm looking forward to the next season. I hope there is going to be a next season. It does seem like Netflix has given us a whole bunch of these new series, and with shorter episodes, maybe to feel out the audience and see what works. So if you like this, give it a watch, share it with your friends, because that's really the only way it's going to get another season, is if it does well. Let me know in the comments below what you thought about this series. Thanks so much for watching this review. I hope you have a great weekend. But most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.